The old tree stood at the edge of the town. It had been there for more than 100 years. People came and went, but the tree remained. Its branches reached up to the sky like arms trying to touch the clouds. In spring, small green leaves covered those branches. In fall, they turned golden and red before they fell to the ground. Under this tree, a young man named Sam sat every morning. He brought a small notebook and a pencil with him. Sometimes he wrote poems. Other times he just watched people walk by. Sam had lived in this town all his life, but he dreamed of seeing other places. One day, he often told himself, "I will travel far away from here." Sam worked at the town library. He put books back on shelves and helped people find what they were looking for. It was not exciting work, but he liked being around books. Books told stories about places he had never seen. They showed him mountains higher than clouds and oceans wider than his eyes could see. Every evening after work, Sam walked home along the river path. The river was not very big, but it moved fast. It came from somewhere in the mountains and ran all the way to the sea. Sam often thought about following it, just to see where it would take him. On one particular evening, as Sam walked by the river, he saw something strange in the water. At first, he thought it was a branch or maybe a plastic bag. But when he looked closer, he saw it was a small wooden boat. Not a real boat that people could ride in, but a toy boat, carefully made by hand. Sam reached down and picked it up. The boat was painted blue and white. On its side, someone had written words in a language Sam did not know. It looked old, but not damaged. Sam wondered who had made it and how it had ended up in their small-town river. He put the boat in his backpack and continued walking home. That night, he placed the boat on his desk and looked at it for a long time. There was something special about it, but he could not say what. The next day, Sam went to work as usual. When he told his friend Maria about the boat, she became very interested. "Can I see it?" she asked. "Of course," Sam said. "Come to my house after work." Maria was the only person in town who seemed to understand Sam's desire to leave. She had traveled a lot when she was younger. Her parents had taken her to many countries before they settled in the small town. After work, Maria came to Sam's house. When she saw the boat, her eyes grew wide. "Do you know what this is?" she asked. Sam shook his head. "This is a wish boat," Maria explained. "In some countries, people make these small boats and write their wishes on them. Then they put them in rivers, hoping their wishes will come true." "What does it say?" Sam asked, pointing to the words on the side of the boat. Maria looked closely. "I'm not sure. It might be in Finnish or Estonian, but I think it's a wish to find something, or someone." Sam felt a strange feeling in his chest. He had found someone's wish. What should he do with it? "Maybe," Maria said slowly, "this is a sign. Maybe it's time for you to follow your own wish." Sam looked at the boat again. He thought about the river that ran to the sea. He thought about all the places he had read about in books. "Maybe you're right," he said. That night, Sam could not sleep. He kept thinking about the boat and what Maria had said. By morning, he had made a decision. It was time for a change. The next morning, Sam woke up early. He packed a small bag with clothes, some food, and a map. He put the little wooden boat in his pocket. It felt like a good luck charm now. Before leaving his house, he wrote a letter to his parents explaining his decision. Sam walked to the library. It was not open yet, but he slipped his work keys and a note under the door. The note said he needed time away, and he was sorry for leaving without warning. Then he walked to the river where he had found the boat. The sun was just coming up. The water looked orange in the morning light. Sam took a deep breath and began walking along the river path. He did not know where it would lead him, but for the first time in years, he felt excited. For 3 days, Sam followed the river. He slept under trees at night and ate the food he had brought. When his food ran out, he found small towns where he could buy more. People in these towns looked at him with curious eyes. They were not used to seeing strangers walking alone. On the 4th day, The river became wider. Sam could tell he was getting closer to the sea. The air smelled different here, salty and fresh. By afternoon, he reached a small fishing town. Boats of all sizes were tied to wooden docks. Men and women in work clothes carried boxes of fish. Sam found a small cafe near the water. He sat at a table by the window and ordered soup. While he waited, he took out the wooden boat and placed it on the table. An old man at the next table looked over and made a surprised sound. "Where did you get that?" the old man asked. "I found it in a river near my town," Sam explained. The old man moved to Sam's table. His hands were rough from years of work, but he touched the boat gently. "This is from my village," he said, "far north from here." Sam's heart beat faster. "Do you know what the words mean?" The old man nodded. "It says, 'Find where the river meets the sea, and there you will find me.'" "Who wrote it?" Sam asked. "People from my village make these boats when they are looking for something important," the old man said. "Sometimes it's love, sometimes it's a new path in life." Sam thought about his own search for something more than his quiet life in the small town. "My name is Henrik," the old man said. "I have a fishing boat. Tomorrow I'm sailing north to my village. You can come if you want." Sam did not need to think long. "Yes," he said, "I would like that." The next morning, Sam helped Henrik prepare his boat. It was much bigger than the toy boat, but still small compared to other fishing boats. They loaded food, water, and fishing nets. By noon, they were ready to leave. As they sailed away from the town, Sam watched the land get smaller behind them. The sea stretched out in front of them, endless and blue. He had never seen so much open space before. "Have you been sailing long?" Sam asked. Henrik laughed. "All my life. The sea is in my blood." For days, they sailed north. Henrik taught Sam how to steer the boat and how to read the stars at night. Sam told Henrik about his job at the library and his dreams of seeing the world. "Dreams are good," Henrik said, "but remember, the most important journey happens here." He touched his chest, over his heart. One morning, Sam woke up to Henrik's excited voice. "Look, we are here," the old man called. Sam climbed up to the deck and saw land ahead. Mountains rose from the sea, their tops covered in white snow even though it was summer. Between the mountains, he could see small, colorful houses dotting the green slopes. "Welcome to my home," Henrik said with pride. Sam felt a strange peace fill him. He did not know what he would find in this village, but he knew finding the toy boat had changed his life forever. Henrik's boat reached the shore by midday. The villagers came to help them tie the boat and unload Henrik's fishing nets. They looked at Sam with friendly eyes, though some seemed curious about the stranger. "Come," Henrik said to Sam. "You will stay with me and my daughter." They walked up a winding path to a blue wooden house on a hill. From there, Sam could see the whole village and the sea beyond it. The village was small, just 50 or 60 houses, but it was beautiful. Flowers grew everywhere, even though the air was cool. A young woman came out of the blue house. She had long dark hair and wore a thick sweater against the cool air. When she saw Henrik, she smiled and ran to hug him. "Father, you're back early," she said. "Anja, this is Sam," Henrik said. He found something interesting. Sam took out the small wooden boat from his pocket and showed it to her. Anja's eyes grew wide with surprise. "You found my boat?" she asked. Sam could not believe what he was hearing. "Your boat? You made this?" Anja nodded. "I made it 2 years ago. I wrote a wish on it and sent it down the river that flows from our mountain." That night, they sat around a warm fire in Henrik's house. Anja cooked fish soup, and they ate it with thick bread. After dinner, Anja told Sam her story. "I have always loved making things with my hands," she said. "I make boats, like the one you found, but also bigger ones that people can use for fishing." "She is the best boat maker in our village," Henrik said proudly. 2 years ago, I felt restless. Anja continued. I wanted to see new places, meet new people. I made that small boat and wrote my wish on it. What was your wish? Sam asked. I wished to find someone who would understand my desire to explore, someone who had the same feeling in their heart, she said. Then I let the boat go, hoping it would somehow bring that person to me. Sam thought about his own life, his dreams of travel, his feeling that there was more to see beyond his small town. I think I understand that feeling very well, he said. In the days that followed, Sam helped Henrik with fishing. He also spent time with Anja, watching her work on boats. She showed him how to carve wood and how to make the boat strong enough to face the sea. The villagers welcomed Sam. They taught him words in their language and showed him how they lived. Sam learned to fish, to cook local food, and even to dance the way they did at village gatherings. One evening, a month after arriving, Sam and Anja walked along the shore. The sun was setting, painting the sky in pink and orange colors. Do you miss your home? Anja asked. Sometimes, Sam said. I miss my parents and my friend Maria. But I've written to them, and they understand why I left. And do you regret coming here? She asked. Sam shook his head. Not at all. Finding your boat was the best thing that ever happened to me. They stopped walking and looked out at the sea. Behind them, lights were coming on in the village houses. Ahead, the first stars appeared in the darkening sky. I've been thinking, Anja said. I still want to see more of the world. I've saved enough money to travel. Would you want to come with me? Sam felt a warmth spread through his chest. Where would we go? Everywhere, Anja said with a smile. We could visit your town first, so you can see your family and friends. Then we could go wherever the road takes us. Sam thought about it. He had left home looking for something, not knowing what it was. Now, standing next to Anja, looking at the vast sea and sky, he felt he had found it. Yes, he said. I would like that very much. A week later, Sam and Anja stood on the deck of a large ship. Henrik hugged them both goodbye. Remember to come back and tell me your stories, the old man said. As the ship moved away from the shore, Sam took Anja's hand. The small wooden boat that had brought them together was safely packed in Sam's bag. It had completed its journey, but theirs was just beginning. The ship carried Sam and Anja across the sea for 3 days. They spent hours on the deck, watching waves and seabirds. At night, they looked at stars that seemed to float just above the water. Sam told Anja about his town, the library where he worked, and the old tree where he used to sit. I want to see this tree, Anja said. It sounds special. When the ship reached land, they took a train. Anja had never been on a train before. She pressed her face to the window, watching fields and forests pass by. Sam enjoyed seeing the world through her eyes. Things he had once found ordinary now seemed new and interesting. After the train, they took a bus that brought them closer to Sam's town. The last few miles, they walked along the river path. It was the same path Sam had followed when he left, but now he was walking the other way. The river seemed to welcome him back. This is where I found your boat, Sam said, stopping at a bend in the river. It was floating right there, near those rocks. Anja touched the water with her hand. The river carried my wish so far, she said softly, and it found exactly who it was looking for. By evening, they reached Sam's town. Nothing had changed, but Sam saw it differently now. It was smaller than he remembered, but also more beautiful. They went to Sam's parents' house first. His mother cried when she saw him. His father tried to look stern, but soon broke into a big smile. They welcomed Anja as if they had known her all along. We got your letters, Sam's mother said. We're so happy you found what you were looking for. The next day, Sam took Anja to the library. His old boss, Mrs. Green, hugged him tightly. The children miss your story time, she said, but I'm glad you're having an adventure of your own. After the library, Sam and Anja walked to the old tree at the edge of town. They sat under its branches, and Sam showed Anja his old notebook filled with poems and thoughts. This is where I used to dream about seeing the world, he said. Maria came to meet them there. She and Anja liked each other immediately. I knew that boat was important, Maria said. I just didn't know how important. They spent a week in Sam's town. Sam showed Anja all his favorite places. They had dinner with his parents every night. They told stories about the northern village and the people there. Sam's parents and friends listened with wide eyes, especially when Anja talked about building boats. On their last day, Sam and Anja went back to the old tree. They had made a decision. We want to see more places, Sam told Maria when she came to say goodbye. There's so much world to explore. Where will you go next? Maria asked. South, Anja said. I want to see places where it's warm all year. And then west, Sam added. There are mountains I've only read about in books. Before they left, Sam and Anja made a small wooden boat together. Anja taught Sam how to carve and shape the wood. They painted it green and wrote words on both sides. What does it say? Maria asked. On this side, it says, "Thank you" in Anja's language, Sam explained. And on this side, it says, "May all wishes find their way home" in English. They went to the river and carefully placed the boat in the water. The current took it gently, carrying it away down the path that had brought them together. Someone else will find it, Anja said. And maybe it will change their life too. The next morning, Sam and Anja boarded a bus heading south. Sam looked out the window as his town grew smaller behind them. He felt no sadness, only excitement for what was ahead. In his pocket was his notebook, now filled with new poems and thoughts. In Anja's bag was a map they had marked with all the places they wanted to see. They didn't know how long their journey would take or where they would end up. And that was exactly how they wanted it to be. Sam and Anja traveled south for many days. They passed through towns and cities, each one different from the last. They saw fields of bright flowers, wide rivers, and hills covered with grapevines. The air grew warmer and the sun stayed longer in the sky. They did not hurry. When they found a place they liked, they stayed for a few days or even weeks. Sometimes they worked odd jobs to earn money for their travels. Sam would help in local libraries or bookshops. Anja would repair boats or make small wooden things to sell at markets. 6 months after leaving Sam's town, they reached the sea again. But this was not the cold northern sea they both knew. This was the southern sea, warm and clear blue. The beaches had white sand that felt hot under their feet. I've never seen water so blue, Anja said. It looks like the sky fell into the sea. They found a small fishing village where the people were friendly. An old woman named Elena rented them a room in her house near the beach. From their window, they could see the sea and the fishing boats coming and going. Elena taught Anja how to cook with olive oil and fresh herbs. Sam learned to swim in the warm waters. They spent their mornings exploring and their afternoons helping Elena in her small garden. At night, they sat outside under the stars, talking about all they had seen. Are you still happy we left? Anja asked one evening. Do you ever wish we had stayed in your town or in my village? Sam thought about it. He missed his parents and his friend Maria. He knew Anja missed her father and the cool northern air, but he would not trade this life for anything. I'm happier than I've ever been, he said. Every day brings something new. They wrote letters home every week. Henrik wrote back with news of the northern village. Sam's parents sent pictures and small gifts. Maria had started her own journey, inspired by Sam and Anja. She was traveling east and promised to meet them somewhere along the way. One day, while walking along the beach, Sam and Anja found a piece of smooth wood washed up by the waves. It was long and curved, almost like a small boat already. Let's make something from this, Anja suggested. For days, they worked on the wood. Anja showed Sam how to shape it carefully with tools they borrowed from a local carpenter. Instead of a boat, they made a box with a lid that closed perfectly. On the lid, they carved pictures of their journey. The northern village, Sam's town, the train, the rivers, and finally the southern sea. Inside the box, They placed small treasures they had collected: a smooth stone from the northern beach, a leaf from the old tree in Sam's town, a feather from a bird they had never seen before, and a shell from their southern beach. "This is our story box," Sam said. "We can add to it as we go." Summer turned to fall, even in this warm place. Sam and Anja decided it was time to move on. They wanted to see the mountains in the west before winter made traveling difficult. They said goodbye to Alina, who hugged them both and made them promise to return someday. "You will always have a home here," she told them. The day before they left, Sam and Anja walked far down the beach, away from the village. They found a quiet spot where the waves came in gently. From their bag, they took another small wooden boat they had made together. This boat was different from the others. It had 2 small sails and a deep bottom where they placed a note. "What does our note say?" Sam asked. "It says, 'We are still traveling, still learning, still finding new wishes along the way,'" Anja replied. They waded into the warm water and set the boat on a wave. The little sails caught the breeze, and the boat moved away from shore, bobbing up and down on the blue water. Sam and Anja watched until it was just a tiny dot on the horizon. Then they turned and walked back along the beach, hand in hand, ready for the next part of their journey. Sam and Anja traveled west for 2 weeks. They rode buses through flat lands and then walked paths that climbed higher and higher. Soon they could see mountains ahead, their tops white with early snow. The air grew cooler as they climbed. They put on warm clothes that Henrik had given them before they left the northern village. Trees changed from green to red and gold. Birds flew south over their heads in large groups. One evening, as the sun was setting, they reached a small town nestled between 2 mountains. Smoke rose from chimneys, and windows glowed with warm light. The town had wooden houses with steep roofs and flower boxes, even though most flowers were now gone for the season. They found a small inn where they could stay. The innkeeper was a round man named Otto who spoke with a deep voice and laughed often. He gave them a room with a view of the mountains and brought them hot soup for dinner. "What brings you to our mountains?" Otto asked as they ate. "We are traveling to see new places," Sam explained. "We came from the south, and before that from the north." Otto nodded with understanding. The mountains have a way of calling people. Some come and never want to leave. In the morning, Otto's wife Lena showed them a map of paths through the mountains. She marked places where the views were best and where wild animals could sometimes be seen. Sam and Anja spent days exploring the mountains. They walked paths through forests and up to high meadows. They saw deer drinking from clear streams and eagles flying high above. Once, they spotted a fox with a red coat that matched the fall leaves. At night, they returned to the inn where Otto always had food waiting. Other travelers stayed there too. Around the big fireplace, they all shared stories of their journeys. Sam and Anja told about the northern village, the wooden boats, and the southern sea. Others told of deserts they had crossed or cities they had visited. Winter was coming closer. Snow began to fall in the mornings, melting by afternoon. Sam and Anja knew they would need to decide whether to continue traveling or find a place to stay until spring. One day, they hiked to a high point overlooking the town and the valley beyond. The view stretched for miles. They could see other towns, a river winding through the valley, and mountains fading into the distance. "It's beautiful here," Anja said. "I feel like I can see the whole world from this spot." Sam nodded. "What do you think about staying for winter? We could work at Otto's inn. He said he needs help during the snow season." Anja thought about it. "Yes, I would like that. And in spring, we can continue our journey." That evening, they told Otto they wanted to stay. He was happy and offered them a small cabin behind the inn where they could live. In exchange, they would help with guests and repairs around the inn. The first big snow came a week later. It covered everything in white. The town looked like a picture from a storybook. Children played in the snow, building figures and sliding down hills on wooden boards. Sam and Anja learned to ski from Lena, who had been a skiing teacher when she was younger. They fell many times at first, laughing as they helped each other up. Soon, they could move smoothly over the snow, exploring winter paths through the silent forest. At night, they worked in the inn's warm kitchen or helped serve food to travelers who came despite the snow. Sam told stories to children who stayed at the inn, while Anja taught interested guests how to carve small wooden figures. In their cabin, they added to their story box a pennycone from the mountain forest, a small carved wooden ski that Otto had made for them, and a drawing of the mountains that a child had given them. Winter settled fully over the mountains. Days grew shorter, and the cold deepened, but Sam and Anja were warm in their cabin, surrounded by new friends and the beauty of the snow-covered mountains. "I think we found another home," Sam said one night as they watched snow falling outside their window. "Yes," Anja agreed, "but not our last one." They both knew that when spring came with its green leaves and flowing streams, they would continue their journey. There were still more places to see, more people to meet, and more stories to collect. But for now, the mountains had called them to stay, and they had answered. Winter passed slowly in the mountains. Snow piled high around the inn and the small cabin where Sam and Anja lived. On clear days, the sun made the snow sparkle like tiny diamonds. On stormy days, they stayed inside by the fire, reading books or playing games with Otto and Lena. They received letters from home. Henrik wrote that the northern village had a hard winter, but everyone was well. Sam's parents sent a package with his favorite books from childhood. Maria sent a letter from a distant city in the east, where she was working in a museum. "She sounds happy," Sam said after reading Maria's letter. "She says the city is full of art and music." "Maybe we will visit her next," Anja suggested. As winter began to soften, more travelers came to the inn. Among them was an old man named Thomas who traveled around the world taking pictures. He showed Sam and Anja photographs of places they had never seen. Tall buildings that seemed to touch the clouds, bridges that crossed wide rivers, and strange rock formations in dry lands. "The world is much bigger than I imagined," Sam said that night in their cabin. "And we have seen only a small part of it," Anja added. When the first green leaves appeared on the trees, Sam and Anja knew it was almost time to move on. The snow melted, making the streams full and fast. Birds returned, filling the mornings with their songs. One day, there was a knock on their cabin door. It was Otto, holding a letter. "This came for you," he said. The letter was from Maria. She had big news. She was getting married to a musician she had met in the eastern city. The wedding would be in 3 months, and she wanted Sam and Anja to come. "We must go," Anja said immediately. "Maria is your good friend, and I want to meet her husband." Sam agreed. They told Otto and Lena they would be leaving soon. The innkeepers were sad but understood. "The mountains will be here if you ever want to return," Otto said. Before they left, Otto and Lena gave them a gift, a map showing the way to the eastern city where Maria lived. They had marked special places to see along the way. "Take the long path," Lena advised. "It is more beautiful." On their last night in the mountains, Sam and Anja climbed to their favorite viewpoint. The valley below was turning green with spring. In the distance, they could see the path they would follow east. "I will miss this place," Sam said. "We can come back someday," Anja reminded him. "But now it's time for a new adventure." They left early the next morning. The whole town came to say goodbye. Children gave them flowers, and old women pressed food into their hands for the journey. Otto hugged them both so hard they could barely breathe. Lena wiped tears from her eyes. "You are always welcome here," she said. Sam and Anja walked down the mountain path, turning often to wave at their friends. The town grew smaller behind them, until it was just a collection of tiny houses nestled between the mountains. Their path took them through green valleys where farmers were planting crops. They passed small lakes that reflected the sky and clouds. At night, they slept in their tent under the stars. 1 week into their journey, They met a family traveling in a painted wagon pulled by 2 horses. The family made music and performed in towns along their way. They invited Sam and Anja to travel with them for a while. "We are going east too," said the father, a man named Joven. "We can take you part of the way." Sam and Anja accepted happily. They helped set up for performances in town squares, where Joven's wife Anna sang while their children played instruments. After the shows, people would gather around to talk and share food. "This is another way to see the world," Joven told them. "Through music and stories, we connect with people everywhere." At night, around the campfire, the family taught Sam and Anja songs from their homeland. Anja had a beautiful singing voice that surprised even Sam. He learned to play a simple drum that Joven's youngest son taught him. As they traveled with the musical family, Sam and Anja saw that there were many ways to live a life of adventure. Some people, like Thomas the photographer, traveled alone. Others, like Joven's family, brought their home and worked with them wherever they went. "How will we travel when we are older?" Anja wondered one night. "I don't know," Sam said, "but as long as we're together, it doesn't matter." The eastern city was still weeks away, but they were in no hurry. The journey itself was as important as reaching Maria's wedding. Every day brought new sights, new people, and new stories to add to their collection. Sam and Anja traveled with Joven's musical family for 3 weeks. They followed roads that wound through forests and fields. Each day, they would stop in a different town or village. The family would perform in the afternoon while Sam and Anja helped sell small crafts that Anna had made. During this time, Sam began to write again. His old notebook was full, so Joven gave him a new one with a leather cover. Sam wrote about their journey, the people they met, and the changing landscapes. Sometimes he would read his stories aloud around the campfire, and Joven's children would listen with wide eyes. "You should make these into a book someday," Anna told him. As they moved further east, the land changed. The forests became thinner and the fields wider. They passed through farming country where green plants grew in neat rows. Workers in the fields would wave as the painted wagon passed by. One evening, as they set up camp near a river, Joven brought out a map. "Tomorrow our paths must separate," he said. "We go north to the summer festival, and you must continue east to reach the city in time for your friend's wedding." Sam and Anja felt sad. They had grown close to the musical family. The children cried a little when they heard the news. "You will always be part of our family," Anna said, hugging them both. "Whenever you hear our songs, you will remember us." That night, they had a special dinner. Everyone wore their best clothes. They sang all their favorite songs and danced around the fire until late. Before they went to sleep, Joven gave Sam and Anja small wooden flutes. "So you can make music wherever you go," he said. In the morning, they said their goodbyes. The family's wagon turned north, while Sam and Anja continued east on foot. They watched until the colorful wagon disappeared from sight, then turned to face the rising sun. "I will miss them," Anja said. "Me too," Sam agreed. "But think of all the new friends we will meet." The next part of their journey was quieter. They walked through small villages where they stayed in simple rooms above shops or inns. Sometimes they would play their flutes in the evening, and people would give them food or small coins. After 10 days of walking, they saw something in the distance, tall buildings rising above the flat land. "The city," Anja said with excitement. "We're almost there." As they got closer, the road became busier. Carts and wagons passed them, all heading toward the city. People on horses moved quickly by. Everyone seemed in a hurry. The city wall came into view, made of old stone with gates where people entered and left. Sam and Anja joined the flow of people going in through the main gate. Inside, they found streets packed with people, animals, and carts. Buildings stood close together, some reaching 5 or 6 stories high. "It's so noisy," Anja said, staying close to Sam. "And so many people." They had Maria's address on a piece of paper. A kind woman at a bread shop helped them find the right street. They walked through winding roads until they reached a building with flower boxes in the windows. Maria had written that she lived on the third floor. With nervous excitement, Sam knocked on the door. Footsteps approached, and then the door flew open. Maria stood there, her face lighting up with joy when she saw them. "You made it," she cried, pulling them both into a hug. "I was worried you wouldn't arrive in time." Maria looked different. Her hair was shorter, and she wore city clothes. But her smile and laugh were the same. She brought them inside her small apartment, which was filled with books and colorful fabrics. "The wedding is in 1 week," she told them. "There's so much to do, and so much I want to show you in the city." A tall man with kind eyes came into the room. This was Nikolai, Maria's soon-to-be husband. He played violin in the city orchestra and taught music to children. His handshake was warm and firm. "Maria has told me so much about you both," he said. "I feel like I know you already." That night, they stayed up late talking. Sam and Anja told stories of their travels: the northern village, the southern sea, the snowy mountains, and the musical family. Maria and Nikolai told how they met during a concert and fell in love over their shared passion for music. As Sam lay down to sleep on a mat in Maria's small living room, he thought about how far they had come from their small towns. Their lives had grown in ways they never expected. And this was just another beginning, another chapter in their ongoing story.